Okay, so welcome everyone, Namaste, and welcome to Vita Yoga Astrology, our first monthly forecast. And I'd like to introduce my teacher, Sadhu Priya Das, also one of the members of Vita Yoga, so has been for 4 years contributing to our trainings and our yoga. So welcome, Sadhu.
Yeah, great to be here, Russ.
Awesome, brother. So why we're doing this, so Vita Yoga Astrology, it's something that is close to my heart, our hearts, and we will be releasing monthly forecasts on the planetary transits. Why are we doing this? Well, it's good to know the landscape, I feel, to know what's coming up with the planetary transits, and to apply it to our own birth charts and see how it all comes together. It's like, I liken it to being like in a car when you're driving at night. So when you're driving at night, really we need some light, need to turn on the headlights, high beams, just to see what's coming up ahead of us. And that's what it's like with planets. So there can be some tough transits ahead, and we kind of need to know, according to our own birth charts, what we can do to make things better in our lives. So Sadhu, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is an opportunity to share some of the wealth of knowledge that I've gathered over the years, particularly from my teacher, who was very advanced at many kinds of astrology, particularly Vedic astrology.
Mm.
And it's a very personal thing. So, you know, I'm not really so interested in giving general mundane forecasts that are like, oh, today's a good day, today's a bad day, because everybody's different. Everybody has their own personal karma they're dealing with, and everyone has good and bad days individually. And what we can do with astrology is, through analyzing birth chart in relation to where the planets are as they transit, we can get a personal snapshot of what's happening and teach people, show people how they can read that for themselves.
Absolutely. It's know thyself is at our core. So to help people with that, to shine light on their paths, and to be at their best, empowering human beings to be at their best. So today's a great day to get things started. So we're going to talk through the planetary bodies for the next month, what they're doing over the next month, and then we'll have a little chat at the end, and we're doing a monthly meeting at Temple Byron as well. So in person, we'll do a yoga class as well, open the body, open the mind, and then drop into our astrology after that as well, which is going to be really good fun. So what we'll do is we'll start with the new moon. So we're right on the new moon at the moment, and it's in Pisces. So what were your thoughts on the flavor that the new moon will bring at this time?
Well, creativity, definitely. Moon in Pisces. Pisces is a water sign, and it's ruled by Jupiter, who's a very, very good friend of the moon. So the moon's in a very creative, expansive, nourishing mood at the moment. And this is a great time to start creative projects and to tap into that watery nature of the moon when it's in its full flow in this water sign. We're in Revati with the moon right now, and the sun also in Revati Nakshatra. So Revati Nakshatra is really good for abundance and for bringing wealth in and bringing positivity in a grand scale. So this new moon is really give rise to all those kind of energies that we can tap into.
Awesome. Wow. So just recently, Jupiter has transited from Scorpio into the first degree of Sagittarius. How does that
That's
influence?
correct, yeah.
How does that influence the scenario as well?
Well, Jupiter's sitting on this cusp. The cusp is where the signs join. And this is a pretty tricky one as well. There's all these different cusps between the 12 signs. 3 of them are particularly tricky when we go from a water sign into a fire sign.
Right.
And that means like Scorpio into Sagittarius, which is where Jupiter is right now. So these are really like the gears clunking in the universe, you know, like you got a 6-shift manual and you're like got the revs high and then you got to like clunk into the next gear.
Right.
And you got to hit that clutch pretty hard, you know. So that's what these particular 3 cusps are like, where the water sign and the fire sign touch each other. So we've also got the sun doing the same thing in the next couple of days, because these are very high degrees of Pisces. He's going into Aries. So this Pisces to Aries cusp, and then you've got the Cancer to Leo cusp, and you've got the Scorpio to Sag cusp, the 3 cusps that go water into fire. They're very sensitive. And at those times, it's a real, you don't want to hit the pedal too soon, and you want to just, ease into it, like you're easing into the next gear. So Jupiter's going to retrograde over this point. He's gone into Sag now, and he's at 1 degree or a bit more, and that's really excellent because he's probably one of his favorite places in the sky. It's his Multrikona sign, it's called.
Beautiful.
It's like his, you know, one of the 2 most favorite places for him to be. So he rules Sagittarius, and he's going to also give a lot of support for, you know, of course, we know Saturn and Ketu and Rahu are sitting on that axis. Jupiter's going to calm down a lot of that intensity of those planets, which is going to be very helpful for the next few months. But then he's going to go back across the cusp and back into Scorpio, and his effect on that will reduce.
Right. Jupiter. So the retrograde starts from April 10th and goes through to August 11th. And that's when he starts to move forward again from Scorpio.
Okay, yeah. And in Vedic astrology, planets are stronger when they're retrograde. The day or two when they change direction is always a sensitive day. And if that's an important planet for us, it's good to just rest if possible, or not be over endeavoring. But yeah, while he's sitting within that 1 degree of the cusp, either this side or that side, he's called we call it what's called Gandanta, means weak by position in the sign. Right. So a planet has age based upon its movement through a sign. So when you're in the very first degree, you're like a baby. And in your very last degree, you're like an old man. So both of those 2 are kind of lacking in power, lacking in strength, just by the nature of the position. So Jupiter will have some flavor of that over the year, and some inherent weakness, even though you know, we're looking forward to him moving fully into Sagittarius, and then after he does that in October, it's going to be 12, 13 months that are going to be very, very strong. And really good for everyone. I think the whole planet is kind of in need of a strong Jupiter boost in his Multrikan sign for a year to kind of help us all along. Very
nice. That sounds fantastic. So okay, Jupiter, a big player this year and for the next year as well, and forever. So we move on to Mercury, and everyone likes to have a chat about our princely Mercury. He's very busy, and we just had a retrograde of Mercury, but we've got Mercury going into Pisces in April, on April 11th. What will that mean?
Yeah, that's his least favorite place in the sky, actually. He doesn't like the water of Pisces and the kind of, you know, high emotions and high feelings He's more technical, analytical, likes to calculate things, and he just doesn't really function very well in a watery, soft, gentle, loving, flowing sign like Pisces.
Yeah.
So yeah, where Mercury is important for someone, or in their chart he rules important things, then those things will be flat. The good thing about Mercury transits, they're very short. He's only there for sometimes 3 weeks, or depending on retrograde motion, of course, but only a few weeks, and then he's already jumping into the next sign. He's never very far from the sun in the sky, so the sun's only a month in each sign, and Mercury's very close behind. So yeah, probably through April. What we're looking for Mercury really is for him to get into Aries, and then he really rides that dynamic energy of Aries and becomes very activated there.
Yeah, beautiful. And then the sun transiting Aries, so from April 14th to May 14th.
That's correct. Yeah, the best month of the year for the sun. The sun's in his strongest position, in exaltation in Aries, and it's just a fabulous month of the year. A fabulous time to start anything. Again, the soul indicates a few things. The sun indicates a few things. He indicates goals and objectives and what we're trying to achieve. So it's a great time to launch into projects that you're trying to achieve things. The sun also represents ego and the self, and it's a good time to self-reflect. Like a really nice big light on yourself. You can self-reflect and look at what you're doing and why. And, in a way, this time of the year is kind of the new year, Vedically speaking. Not really January and that period.
Aries is the new beginnings, is that right?
Yeah, Aries kind of the start of the zodiac is Aries, and the sun entering Aries as entering the start of the zodiac. It's like, okay, this is really, in a sense, one start of the year, and there's many starts of the year depending upon how you look at the sky. But yeah, sun in Aries is definitely a position of new beginnings, new goals, new objectives, and a lot of support behind whatever you start at that time.
Okay, awesome. We have Venus entering Pisces. Very beautiful.
Yes, we do. Yeah. And also because Venus is never very far from the sun, we often get these very wonderful Venus Pisces transits around this time of year as well. We always get them this time, just whether they're a little earlier or a little later compared to where the sun is. But yeah, Venus is exalted in Pisces. And he has a very nice time in Aquarius too, where he is now, because he's very good friends with the sun. Saturn. So Saturn rules in a very happy place in the sky, and then he'll go to his exaltation in Pisces, and that's a very strong trigger for relationships, meeting people, love. Let the love flow. A lot of enjoyment. Let the champagne roll, as it were. This is kind of mode, and in Pisces he activates all of that very strongly.
Okay, good times for Venus. Beautiful. So looking a little bit further ahead to April 19th, the full moon in Chitra, Libra.
Okay, yes, Chitra, Libra. So the sun has moved into Aries, and Chitra, which is in Libra, opposite. So we have the full moon in Libra. Libra and Chitra is very artistic. It's a very artistic full moon. And I think all the creative types will be like just buzzing away for 2-3 days. Just get out the canvas, get out the brushes, and let it flow. Yeah, Chitra is very nice, creative, and artistic, and it's also Chitra's about kind of following your dreams. That's another part of Chitra, like letting go of reasons why this is in the way, that's in the way. Putting those things aside and just embracing the possibilities.
Excellent. Wow, that sounds really amazing. And Jupiter returning to Scorpio, like we've been talking about. April 22nd is when he passes over the Gandanta point again.
Okay, yes, and then he'll have some weakness for a few months as he moves back in. Jupiter's fairly fine in Scorpio. He's you know, he's going to function fairly well there as long as he's not too close to the cusp.
Okay. And then we have a very a strong retrograde in Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius from April 29th through to September 18th, and he'll be joining Ketu. So a few words.
That's right, yes. Yeah, this is probably the strongest transit in the sky right now, and it's going to continue for quite a long time. We have these slow-moving planets joining up, which only happens every so often. So Saturn is now coming to retrograde soon within Sagittarius. He's friendly with Jupiter, but he doesn't like the fire signs particularly. Saturn's a cold planet, cold and slow and gradual, and fire signs tend to disturb him, and it's agitation when he prefers to, you know, have something cool and peaceful. Okay. So he's a little bit agitated, but he is friendly with Jupiter. They're very good, you know, they have a friendly disposition to each other. So, you know, Saturn is a planet of hard work. That's probably the most strong indication of Saturn. You know, people always, you know, talk about how destructive Saturn is, and they're always running away from him, and so many negative things to say. But really, Saturn is a planet of hard work, and what people run away from is doing the hard work on themselves. And that's why this is the main reason why all these things come out. But yeah, with Ketu there, Ketu represents our past. It represents, or he represents, what we're good at and what we're trying to pull together from our pool of established knowledge and experience and genetics and what we're carrying so far. He represents all of that. So,
and
it's a great.
Sorry to interrupt, but Ketu is the south node of the moon.
He's the south node of the moon. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So Rahu and Ketu is the nodal axis. The north node is Rahu. The south node is Ketu. Okay. And they are not actually physical planets. They are the points of intersection of the orbits of Sun and Moon, essentially. But in the cosmology, the Vedic cosmology, we have Rahu swallowing the Sun and the Moon, and that's causing the eclipses. You know, Rahu is the demon who stole the pot of nectar in the churning of the ocean of milk. It's a very lovely story. We'll get to that one session. Definitely. So, yes, he became immortalized because he drank the nectar, but then Vishnu took out his chakra and cut his head off as the nectar came down, so then he became headless. So he swallows the sun and the moon for the eclipses, but then he doesn't have a body. Ketu is the body, so they're separate. It's a separated personality. The head is one part and the body is another part. So this is Rahu Ketu axis, which is really the strongest signifier of karmic challenge in our lives. It's a very powerful axis, and where this axis sits in your chart is a supremely defining indicator of what you're here to process and work your way through in this life at this time. So when Ketu and Saturn joining together, we're going to see it's a fabulous year to put the work in for yourself, you know, to work through all these threads that are in yourself and things that are maybe not sorted out, stuff from the past, stuff you need to analyze, work through, and maybe, you know, draw the wealth from. Maybe it hasn't been, you know, possible in the past to visit things that are uncomfortable, and, you know, this is a great year to do a bit of revisiting, have some perspective, and get some wealth from those experiences, because every experience has wealth to offer. Sometimes it's maybe too painful or too difficult or too hard for us to really extract that or, you know, catch all those things.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you know, just simplifying it, bit of a decluttering, could you say?
Mm-hmm.
Like really clearing out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Clearing out the past.
But particularly, as we said, just to finish off, it really depends strongly on your own birth chart, where this particular axis is transiting, as to which part of your life is going to get this kind of effect. This is where we can personalize everything.
Yeah, and on that point, if some of the students would like to have their charts done, how can they reach you, Sadhu?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I've got my website, which is sadhuastro.com. So sadhuastro.com. And on there's contact page, and they can get in touch, and we can go from there.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's really great to at least once in your life have the analysis of your chart, have your chart in front of you, have some explanation about starting to look at how it works and how it functions, and then as we do these explanations, yeah, that knowledge can be built upon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
And just a special note to those in the Byron Bay area and the surrounds. We do have our first, well, not our first, but we're starting up our more detailed discussion of the planetary transits at Temple Byron on May the 2nd. So feel free to come along. We'll have some Dahl and some chai, and I'll teach a gentle therapy class or a gentle class, beginner's class at the start, just to open us up and to calm us down and really feel grounded in the space, and then to really transit the skies and see what's happening. It'll be really. Thank you, Sadhu. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Russ. Great to be here.
And we'll come together again in a month's time in the new moon, and see what's going on, see what's happening up there in the planetary transits, and keep a finger on the pulse.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you, brother. All the best.